Welcome. It's the Lionsgate portal. I'll wait for y'all to get the notification so we can get into this galactic collective message. Let's see what's going on for all. Okay. Survive. Survive, baby. Where we at right now? We still in the Jupiter hour for about 2 more minutes, and we going to the Mars hour. Yeah, when you about that left, you can handle that type of energy. 13th hour of the day. Lucid moment, rather. 13th hour of the lucid moment. So let me see what we got going on. Oh yeah, let me you know what I mean? Make these adjustment right quick. Let's see what we got. Haven't been live in a minute. All right, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Goddess High Priestess Empress Alalabandera. Welcome to the channel, my loves. We are going to be getting into the Lionsgate portal messages for the collective. I see you better here on the chat on this side, so you see me looking over here. May you all be well. Let's move this down. Ugh. All right, so Lionsgate is when the sun aligns with the beautiful star Sirius, and this is also considered the spiritual sun, the energy of Sirius. With that, this is where you enter a threshold where light frequencies anchor into your DNA, awakening dormant strands and realigning soul timelines. Now remember, previous lives to this one, we have been speaking of Neptune and Saturn in Aries, along with Chiron is also in Aries, but specifically Neptune and Saturn in Aries in retrograde. That is doing the same, obviously, from a different energetic standpoint based on what it represents. Saturn having to do with the timekeeper, lessons of different lifetimes in the sign of Aries is basically placing you back into a position where you have that inner authority. Neptune in Aries in retrograde is basically helping you to realign with first, clearing out any sort of distortion that doesn't allow you to see yourself as the spirit, as the spirituality, as the mysticism, as your imagination, as that essence of God, generator, operator, destroyer, or as an extension of source, being in your God self. 555 was just on the screen. So this is going to be a massive transformational shift with this message here for the collective. So welcome all 15. That is awesome. No, that's 15. So that's speaking to that Capricorn energy, the devil card, the life you've lived, and not just so much you, the life that you've lived, but the life that is embedded within your DNA coding. And this alignment of the sun in Leo, connecting to the star Sirius, the spiritual sun, is basically realigning your soul timelines along with the other energies cosmically that are going on, that's helping you to put your head back on your shoulder, per se. So a lot of what's transpiring at this moment with Saturn and Neptune being in retrograde is bringing up to the surface anything that is supposed to be cleared out, that prevents you from, being in the most authentic version of yourself and evolving from that, and not apologizing for that authenticity. And the way that that comes across, where you are in this essence of apologizing for your authenticity, or not fully stepping into it, is because there may be some sort of ancestral coding within you that is connected to some sort of wounding that prevents you from, stepping forward for yourself. And the way that comes across is something as simple as where you may be experiencing something in your life, but you wouldn't want to express it to someone to not be a burden to them, when what's really required of you at that moment, in terms of what's required of you at that moment, meaning between you and source, you as an extension of it, all parts of you, being in a position where that type of level of conversation, or the release of that water, the release of that emotion through your words, is going to help you to rise to the occasion. It's going to help you to ascend. It's going to help you to transform and transmute anything that's been keeping you suppressed and down, and not being able to see clearly, or to have the mental clarity to make proper decisions. So we're going to see what message we got coming through here for all of the collective. All of the collective, all of the collective, all of is the collective. But yes, we're going to look and see what's going on here. Let me go into our Star Seed Oracle. Surrender to the sweetness. Intriguing, because that's a Venus energy. Venus is in Cancer, while Jupiter is in Cancer as well, creating emotional amplification portal of nurturing, homecoming, ancestral heart healing being the key. But if one is not in a receptive state, that can literally be the source of detriment to someone, where they're not open to the nurturing that may come from someone because they lack trust. And to lack trust in things that are outside of you is because there's still a lack of trust or lack of love within oneself. Okay, now the most obvious thing, but not also seen as the most obvious, is to really tune into what is preventing you from stepping into that version of self, being the version of you that loves yourself so much so that anything you do radiates that love, and it can't be mistaken for anything else. Now, if you're someone that is going through the process of evolution, where you encounter people who are unable to see that essence of you, don't take it personal, in the sense that you are someone with the problem. you could be in an instance at that point because you have evolved so much where now you become the mirror to that energy outside of you, where now they have to view themselves and reflect, literally look into a mirror. It shows you back your reflection. So you are, you know, being in that position where you are reflecting back to them what it is that they may be lacking within themselves. And when that happens, obviously things can get a little hectic because it may not be something that a person may be prepared or ready to do so, but with the energy that is supporting, although some may not see it as supporting energies until, you know, you break out of your shell, break out of this old skin that you feel as though it's comfortable in this year of the snake. They can see these energies as that's supposed to be helpful as coming against them. So some of you could, again, once again, be the reflection, be the mirror in these situations. So don't take it personal when someone is unable to receive, you know. Cancer being a cardinal water sign means that the downloads from Sirius, which itself is in Canis Major, flows directly into your emotional body. So this is a vibe of where you may feel strong surges of memory, both personal and galactic. This would be the importance of getting in the sun or grounding in order for this information to calibrate in a way that it doesn't bring a shock to your system. And sometimes the shock to the system that I'm speaking of is one where what your body is naturally doing, you may suppress it from doing. Okay, so let's say, you know, shedding tears is what's going to allow you to have that level of integration when these strong surges of memory, both personal and galactic, that have been dormant, that can actually assist you in this here moment, in this lifetime. Those tears can literally help you, you know, remove any parts of yourself, your cells, because it's literally releasing old cells, you know, through that water whenever it is that you're sweating or releasing tears. So don't feel as though because you may have been in experiences where people see it as a form of weakness or sensitivity from a low vibrational standpoint or ignorant standpoint per se, where they're seeing sensitivity as a weakness when it's not. Sensitivity is actually a strength. When an empath is aware that they are an empath, they are able to now handle what it is that they, you know, that they may possibly absorb based on the energies that they are surrounded by, and when to, you know, assist and stay in a situation and when to back out, because their presence can literally be, you know, the point of chaos of no return for that person if they stay there when they're not prepared to receive. So let's see. Ooh, what message do we have here? All praise due to the Most High, Mama Universe, Papa Universe, ancestors, spirit guides, angels, protectors, warriors that guide and protect me. I connect my heart and soul to the heart and soul of my higher self. Divinity as an extension of source. May these messages come through clearly to those who are here to receive this message. All under unconditional love, all through unconditional love. What is the message here? 8-8 portal for the collective. Can't make that up, right? I'll show you what though. Deep cellular healing. Arcturus energy, physical and emotional healing. I love this so much for the collective during this portal. Especially, you know, based on what it represents. Once again, this isn't just a date, it's a vibrational threshold where, you know, the light frequencies anchor into your DNA for this deep cellular healing. which is also awakening dormant strands and realigning soul timelines. Now, also with this, we do have Mercury that's also in Leo, however, it's in retrograde. So it's basically a review process of, you know, the way your voice and self-expression align with your heart frequency. A review process of how your voice and self-expression align with your true heart frequency, along with the sun being in Leo, aligning with the rising of Sirius, our spiritual sun, helping to anchor into your DNA light frequencies that can help you, you know, to see clearly what it is that has to be reviewed when it comes to your voice and self-expression in its alignment with your true heart frequency. So this may require some of you to speak from a space of conviction and not so much performance when you do express yourself. Okay, let me see what else comes through here. Let me get one more we're getting from this. Wow, loosen your grip. Coping mechanisms, yeah, see that? Coping mechanisms, density, addiction, let God in. And mind you, the intro is aligning perfectly with what these messages are stating at this time, more so as a, you know, connecting with the energy, with the images, you know, for the purpose of the cards. Now, because this is activating from the heart to the crown. Mind you, look at this threshold where the energies are descending. Going into the essence of the destroyer, which is at the root. Destroying anything that is of a coping mechanism that prevents you from letting the essence of love, your higher self, source, God, whatever it is that you connect to in terms of a higher power being an assistance to you and for you, through you, as you. And then you got the earth pulsing, speaking of grounding at the bottom of the deck here. Pulse of the mother, slow down, time in nature. This is going to be very significant here for those of you that are tuning into this message. Literally grounding physically in this way, connecting yourself back to the earth. So that way there could be that recalibration and deep cellular healing through the roots, you know, of nature. You have under that, trust the timing, trust the wave you came in on. Time is not running out. Loosen your grip on anything that you have been over processing because something is too late, not happening fast enough, or just the essence of time. Just flow. 1919 on the timer. Just flow, baby. Just flow. Okay. Take this down. Just flow. The energies or the axis of Cancer and Capricorn could be of significance. The way you feel and utilizing your emotions with authority. Ancestors in lifetimes, 4th house, 10th house, Cancer, Capricorn showing up here. Peace enters your life when you surrender. When you surrender, where you may have once given the power to material thought about outer form things, you're going to be required to have courage to move forward with faith. So, this is obviously speaking to material things in life, that when situations do not pan out based on the way you may have expected, because one can say that they don't have expectations, but the proof of not having expectations is when something doesn't go your way and one begins to trip out, per se. One who has no expectations can just live and flow. And in that flow, you have a more solid, stronger connection to faith, being faith, which is experiencing and feeling what it is that you desire as far as creation in connection to a higher dimension of yourself, because that's what a desire connects to, is you already experiencing that which you want to create, but it's happening, you know, that experience is happening in the higher dimension. Higher dimension, speaking of where the energy consists of love and unity, not separation, which can slow up the process in regards to calling in or physically experiencing what brings you joy and what brings you love. But that starts with you having that joy and love within yourself, where you are in agreement, where your heart and your solar plexus are in agreement, which is also an example of where the connection you have with a greater power that you are an extension of. You can feel it deep within your gut, and it brings forth this smile, because that is also an example of where you are at within yourself too. Especially if this is a situation where that type of energy is influenced or inspired by something outside of you. It has to start within you first. But to be able to solidify or to strengthen that, you're going to have to strengthen that love and joy within yourself first. You feel me? So let's see what else we have here. As a matter of fact, because I do have some surrender cards, let's get to the nitty gritty of this. What's this? The Princess of Swords and the High Priestess. In reverse. It's these two falling on the ground is coming through as a tower moment of divine intervention, especially where you are disregarding everything that's being shown to you in alignment to your intuition because you want to make sense of it. So, peace enters your life. Missing pieces or fragmented parts that are connected to you evolving come into your life when you surrender. We're going to look deeper into what this surrender is. Look at this. This popped out. Surrender unhealthy relationships. And this is any type of relationship that has to do with any form of disrespect when it comes to, you know, communication or what it is that you're doing, where people are unable to basically bite their tongue when something doesn't go their way. So now they want to start basically bashing or mocking people that they feel as though, you know, has something to do with why something didn't work out for them, because they're unable to clearly listen to what's being said to them. I'm gonna just tell you this. When it comes to an affirmation, a prayer, conviction being answered. It may come through a person. It may come through so many different things, but let's just say it comes through a person. And because one is unable to shake off or shed off the last parts of that skin, basically at the crown, because this activation of the sun, Lionsgate with Sirius, is from the heart to the crown. And when a snake is shedding its skin in this year of the nine, the snake year as well, when it has to take off the skin off of its head, it has to literally go in between two rocks for all of that to be released. That can also be symbolic in terms of what one is experiencing here as far as deep cellular healing. But, and going back to what we was just stating before, there are times where an answered prayer or what it is that one is seeking, if in the event that it comes to a person, it is important to be smart and wise, because there are people that are wise but don't move smart with that level of wisdom. So much so that they are unable to discern the purpose of what an energy being presented into their auric field to a system as an answer to a prayer is doing there in the first place. So in the event that there's a scenario where one is receiving answers to a request, and that answer moves in the most observant, patient, and loving way, one would want to be mindful as to the way they go about that frequency and handling that and going about that interaction. Because you don't know what type of witness or midwife, cosmically, galactically, biblically, however you want to connect to that in connection to a higher power, as to what that person is doing there exactly. Nonetheless, peace enters your life, beloved, when you surrender denial, surrender your fear of change, surrender your attachments to results, and surrender low self-esteem. Now, these are the exact type of characteristics or energies as to why one would stay in an unhealthy relationships. And again, there's something here about addictions coming through very strongly as to why one is unable to flow or to create effortlessly. But not to worry, unless one wants to still be stuck within an old timeline or a third dimensional perspective where energies are separated. One has to be mindful as to what it is that they're calling in or stating that they're here for. Because one could be here for something that is completely opposite of that. But because of deeply rooted wounds, one may not be able to fully rise up out of that energy, to be able to see things clearly, especially if there's a back and forth of some sort of quote unquote understanding, but still continuing to do that which one has stated that they understood. And even worse than prior to stating that there was an understanding. That's blasphemy. Which can all be a result of any sort of unhealthy relationships that has something to do with addictions to the fear of change, to addictions to denial, to denying things, addictions to having an attachment to results, but saying that one doesn't have an expectations, and addiction to having a low self-esteem. Peace enters your life when you surrender these things. Whether this is you, collective, or energies around you. The following messages from my deck is Ancient Kemet, Top Shata, and Palace Athena. Owls, spears and shields, olive trees could be of significance. The serpent, goddess of war, Sekhmet, is also showing up with this vibe as well. But this is having to do with being clever with patterns that place one in situations where you're unable to surrender low self-esteem, to surrender your attachment to results, to surrender denial, to surrender the fear of change, to surrender your addictions, possibly to an unhealthy relationship. Peace enters your life when you surrender to that. When you surrender that. Surrender unhealthy relationships that could be some sort of addiction to this type of level of relationship, especially when it comes to basically this unhealthy relationship is something that doesn't serve you, including unavailable or toxic people. Even if people are, they seem to be available, they can still be unavailable. You deserve to be treasured by others and be surrounded by positive people. Surrender your fear of change. The universe is reminding you that you are cared for always, which is why one has to be mindful of the words that are coming out of their mouth. You're constantly creating. It's the waters that assist with creation. Everything around you has water in it, whether it's visible. So the universe is reminding you that you are cared for always, whether you're afraid of a change in your job, your health, or a relationship, or if you fear aging or death. Repeat the affirmation: I have faith that all is well. I have faith that all is well. So that means whatever situation that you're in that you feel as though you have to stay in because it's a comfort zone, in order for you to move beyond and past that, you're going to have faith that all is well, which means you are seeing the version, experiencing the version of yourself that is doing well, even if the situation around you in the physical condition doesn't appear that way. That's what faith is. But this is why you have to be what it is that is considered well. But if you're constantly having that conversation or some sort of addiction to a lack mindset by still remaining in unhealthy relationships, that can be some sort of addiction, okay? Surrendering, not being able to surrender denial, which is not being able to accept people and situations exactly as they are without denying the difficulties. For some, this could be accepting people and situations exactly as they are, unconditionally loving, nurturing, and not being able to, disconnect themselves from the difficulties that prevents them from being able to be open and receptive to that type of nature. So surrender denial here is letting you know to accept people and situations exactly as they are without denying the difficulties, or basically also facing the difficulties, but not in the sense that you are facing it and still living in the difficulties where now you're unable to accept people and situations exactly as they are. Surrender your attachment to results. The formula for success is to do all you can to make things happen. Nothing more, nothing less. Because the most important phase between an inhale and an exhale is that pause. Okay? So, holding on too tightly to a desired outcome can sabotage it. Surrender low self-esteem. You deserve success, love, and abundance. Set an intention to identify and release any remnants of low self-esteem. That comes from where? Show me this. Where is this low self-esteem coming from? Queen of Cups, the mother line from the womb space. Meaning before you even came into this world, which is also preventing someone from making proper actions, taking the action that aligns with the essence of deep cellular healing, which is choosing to stay in this whirlpool of toxicity, unable to rise up out of that. Or Eight of Cups with this, which is also coming through as a maternal figure, energetically giving this holy grail, giving this extra cup to assist one from walking away from things that no longer serve them. Eight of Cups, Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is retrograde, going into the sign of Pisces during this retrograde phase, on the 1st, and it's about to be 9:01. Major message here in regards to surrender as well, with the 7 and the 5, the hangman energy, and that's the truth. Surrendering is what has to happen here. Give me one more. Surrender to joy. In order to surrender to joy, you had subconsciously at the bottom of the spread surrendered to creativity. But if what led to this low self-esteem started from the womb space, which is also the sacral, which is also speaking of that water space, then how will one be able to rise up from that, especially if you're still holding on to any type of traumatic experience? Be honest with yourself, because people walk around here for real, telling themselves I'm good, or that they're not doing okay, but they don't want to they don't really want to zone into what's really the issue. And the answers are literally right in front of them. Granted, there's a process to things. However, don't allow that process to become an excuse as to why one is not evolving and shifting. And part of that could be, one constantly in this comparison with other people, or comparing what's going on, what one is doing, what the collective is doing, what this one is. Focus on thyself. Even as those of you that are here, as you are going through the process of evolution, which is never ending, be mindful as to what it is that, spaces you're entering, because you are the gatekeeper of your senses, at least the 5 that most are aware of. I meant what I said there. Most are aware of. There's more than that, though. Way more than that. Because you got your spiritual senses, your cosmic senses, your galactic senses, which are now connected to your gifts here. So keep your eyes trained on yourself. Focus on your own strengths, attractiveness, and power. Tell me more about this. Surrender to joy. What's blocking this? The lack of support, the sense of what support is. Look at the 8 of Cups right there. Your energies will continuously reflect where you are at in supporting yourself as to what it is that comes towards you. If you're constantly putting out verbiage, if one is constantly putting out verbiage that something is not going to work out, then that's exactly what it'll be, especially while we have Uranus in the sign of Gemini. You want to talk about manifesting the way you speak immediately, the way you think, or your thoughts immediately. Oh, it's on a whole other level. It's on a whole other level. Part of this shift here for some of you is being able to pause. Again, the most important part between the exhale and the exhale is the pause in the middle before it goes into an exhale, back into an inhale, and so on and so forth. What's a challenge here for some of you is that it's so much of a challenge that you've been holding on to this resistance, and now you're feeling the sensations all over. Pisces energy, Saturn in Pisces. You're feeling this false sense of a reality manifested around you because of something that is deeply within your DNA that you have yet to release or activate for some of you. Some of you are in between both, where there's parts of you that still have to be activated, or there are parts of you that have to be released because it doesn't align with what it is that you're doing or going next. It's important to take note of the maternal line on both sides as to the way one goes about taking action in certain situations where one is getting the shorter end of the stick. Is there an essence of one putting their foot down, or is there something where there's this over belief of people to do better and they constantly do the opposite? That's a major code within the collective that one is releasing where, you know, in previous timelines, people weren't able to do certain things because they were suppressed or oppressed to do so. Then they didn't do it in the form of safety. Y'all don't have that issue right now, but it seems that way, and that program will constantly be pushed out onto you and into you if you're not choosing to go into a different space of mentality to shift yourself out of that perspective. So it's real out here, baby. It's real out here, baby. I want to see something. Is this where I had my info? Oh yeah, this is a different document I had together. Man, there's a lot. There could be a lot going on, obviously. Yeah, especially with the full moon in Aquarius, Mercury and Leo. So Mercury and Leo creating an opposition to Pluto that's also in Aquarius. Ooh. That's going to create massive miscommunication. See, this is why I love astrology too. Because let's say you go through an experience where there's a lack of communication. It can put you in a space of understanding when there are actual information that literally aligns up with actions that are happening and the literature that is in alignment to that. But when one doesn't have the literature and this is happening in the physical environment, it can become extra hectic to handle, where now someone or one is dealing with the situation rather than handling it. The key is, the key that you're given with this astrology is that it allows you to say things where you don't have to put yourself or your foot up your ass, where now you have to apologize for something you said. Because you understand what the frequency is, so you're going to be mindful as to the way you move about in situations, or the way you respond rather than react to situations that others outside of you want to present to you. Because one thing I'm going to say, well, not one thing, because we're going to be saying a lot. I don't care what type of information a masculine has, or man, as in a male, may have. This is not the age to be disrespecting, mocking women who are literally the architects, the code holders of an ascension that were once suppressed in lifetimes prior to this one. It's not suggested. 4444 on the timer. Not to say, where that feminine frequency is to overpower the masculine frequency. But tread wisely as the essence of the masculine with the inner essence of the masculine within a male or a man's body. Be very mindful as to the way you move with a divine feminine, who some are literally witnesses of Source, the Most High. can make or break a situation without doing anything, laying the finger to even having a thought, because those codes connect to a frequency of deep cellular healing, which is also what this planet itself is going through, that experience as well. It's no longer turned off. This planet is so turned on right now that it comes across as catastrophic events. But think about when you're turned on, don't all this heat and all this fluid begin to flow. It's the same thing this planet's doing, because what is up in here? It's vibrating through all chakras. So be very mindful as to the way one moves around the divine feminine with ancient codes. Surrender joy. Because the wheel can turn or stop. And when the wheel stops, one's fire, one's passion dies out, and now one is drying out from the inside out. Hola mi corazón, Evie, welcome mama. Mwah. Look at this, 10-10. Look at this, yep. It could be a reward or a detriment. I'm telling you, because there's so many, unfortunately, there's this high rate of wounded frequencies on the planet, moving in a way that is a misuse of higher frequencies. Because I don't want to call it knowledge or wisdom at this point. It's more so beyond all of that. It's beyond words. And it could be chaotic when the type of energy is turning on within one's body. Literally feels as though you're being forced to release certain things that if it was just 2008, it'll be a little bit easier to hold on to, but maybe not so much between 2008 and I'll say 2012 to hold on to certain things. Not now. Not now. And what one seeks through prayers, affirmations, convictions is going to be answered very quickly. This is why one has to be mindful as to what it is they ask for. Some people are experiencing hectic energy around them at this time because with the sun in alignment to the rising of Sirius or the spiritual sun, and it's downloading light codes that's going to literally help you renew your DNA. That shit could be the worst experience ever if one is not aware, or it can be the most beautiful and serene where you actually notice so much falling around you but not you, where you're in this state of calm, basically being the eye of the storm. But that happens when you have done that shadow work. And for some of you, I'm getting that you feel as though your shadow work is a constant process. As long as you're ascending, there's a version of you that you are unlocking that was hidden, that you are to merge with as you keep ascending. So yeah, that's certainly possible in a thing. But it's not to the point where you want to fight it, because that's a clear indication or a perfect example of one fighting themselves. It's of you. You know? So let me, okay. within the next 2 months. It has something to do with healing, soothing, and surrendering once again within the next 2 months. You will see the intent of the energy that, yes, you attract. You will see the intent of the energy that, yes, you attract. As an electromagnetic source, yeah, absolutely. Which is why I say what you experienced outside of you is you pushed out until you learn your lessons, and what you experience outside of you, you become a mirror to assist with. There's levels to this. Feel me? Feel me? Okay? So I'm feeling that. No, that's right, honey. What you're experiencing outside of you, and sometimes when someone is going through transformations and what's within them and what they're experiencing outside of them is then pushed out, they may have moments where they are the mirror to certain things, but you won't be able to tell the difference because it may come across as, oh, someone is constantly coming for you. Again, Uranus and Gemini, Uranus and Gemini, it ain't the top of that. It's really not. It's really not. No. Where we at? I'm loving this. We got one more minute. And then we're going to the sun hour. We're using a Mars hour, cutting up. Yeah, that's right. What they talking about? Celestial eruptions that birth movement during the Mars hour. Today's Venus day. Collapse and hesitation into motion. Yeah. That's what all this was about. That was coming through. Surrender, denial about attachments to results, low self-esteem, fear of change, addictions to unhealthy relationships. Loosen the grip. Addiction shows up here twice. Different decks. What's the root of that? What's the root of this addiction here? Let me see. For some, is talking too soon and not listening enough. Talking too much, not listening enough. Foresight, planning, strategy. Look. Yeah, this addiction is connected to someone who feels as though they have foresight, but they're creating a reality that is not actually. They're creating the reality. It comes across as foresight, but it's more so the experiences of fear, the experiences of shame, the experiences of guilt, the experiences of grief, the experiences of lying to themselves about situations that they're in or surrounding them, the experiences of attachment, the experiences of fucking delusion and shit of that nature. Yes, two. And two, the High Priestess came out in reverse in the Starman deck with the Princess of Swords, which is a feminine energy in terms of not being able to allow the intuition do what it does. And in doing so, it's because there is information that is coming through, but one is using too much logic, thinking that they're connected to a spiritual essence when connected to a whole demon that you haven't overcome yet, and you just still moving through that essence. It's moving you, you're not moving it, which is what you're designed to do, which is what one is designed to do. Galactic Federation 222. Community collaborations meeting. Someone has a way of doing things amongst the communities, could be on a social platform that is not in alignment to wholeness. 6, it's not in alignment to creating new habits here on the planet that is of healing, that is of holistic nature, that is of purging, because 6 is connected to Virgo, which is a purging energy. But this is also about purging things that sits in one's mental space, as it's connected to Mercury, that now, because it sits in one's mental space, what one is expressing is more connected to a logic rather than the intuitive side, or the receptive side to source, which is the intuitive feminine energy. One is too connected to the electricity of that fire and that masculine energy to constantly take action, which is also what I'm saying. There's someone that is addicted to talking and they don't listen enough. And this is why they constantly enter in situations or place themselves in situations where people have to step away from them. Just so they can get their ass whooped spiritually, cosmically, galactically, respectfully. Another 2. The tall whites: uncertainty, distrust, and guarded. Someone is addicted to the lack of trust, uncertainty, and also guarded because of that. Release that shit. Release that shit. That's all you gotta do. And the way one releases that, there's constantly information that is coming through one's feed in one's reality. I'm not talking about the phone or social media. That comes through one's reality for you to make an adjustment. But the lack of knowledge and the ignorance and the addiction that one has to staying in a situation, also that would also come from a person that says something is hard to do. It's only hard to do because you continue to say it's hard to do. So it can only get harder. That's an excuse. You might be new to this channel. This is not a place of it's a nurturing space, but it's also the space of listen. It's only going to get harder because you say it is. Watch your words. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word is with God. That's you. You're an extension of what is here to generate, operate, and destroy what no longer serves you from a metaphysical standpoint, where it means that you reflect on what no longer serves you, you tune into the love for yourself. And why it's hard to step away from situations is because it all starts from a lack of love. When one is unable to do certain things that actually can help you, place you in a state of joy, to connect you to your abundance, is because there's a lack of love. So the lack of love is going to have somebody doing the same shit over and over and over again, expecting a different result. You want to heal the wound, but you keep picking at that shit and giving oneself excuses as to why you're picking at it. So now you're double picking at the wound. So healing won't even be a thing for you. It's not in your existence because one still in the 3rd dimension, which has to do with separation from what one has a connection to go through that process of healing, to overcome these situations that quote unquote may seem hard. One has to take or have responsibility over themselves. Stop looking for people to understand what you're going through. Tell yourself your own story, because that's what it's going to come. That's what it's going to come up to, down and up to. Once you recognize that the best person you can have a conversation with about what it is that you're experiencing, so that way you're not enabled by your external world, is going to be you, the spirit and soul within you. But things and people have become too physical that your savior got to be outside of you. And misinterpreting what that savior is. One has to make the decision for themselves. I'm done with this. I want better for self. Not even want, I desire better for self. Better than this current situation that's going on right now. Knowing that it no longer serves. Look at your environment. The more you hold on to things that no longer serve you, your environment is going to reflect the same thing. You may be right, but those that you love around you may begin to lose vitality. Especially if you're someone that's coded to be that battery source to create that change. And for some of you, this is why you experience so much turmoil. Because you have the vessel, the frequency to be able to literally change what's going on, but you're going to the same people that you're here to power up, not by telling them what to do, just by you being in your full essence of what you came here for. So what does that mean? Well, if you were in a relationship that is unhealthy in the sense of it's a karmic loop or a karmic lesson where, you know, there's the level of betrayal, there's a level of abandonment that leads to lack of communication, where you can't grow together. If it gets to a point where one is no longer themselves, obviously, yeah, there are situations where people come back together, but really take note in regards to when you're in certain situations, this any type of relationship, this could be work, a lover, a family member, when you are connected to certain frequencies, it's imperative to be aware of your surroundings and the way your life is panning out for you. Because it'll show you when you are connected to abundance, and it'll show you when you are connected to lack. But as long as one is not holding themselves accountable for themselves, their choices and their actions, there's going to be a constant need for others to understand, for the healing to actually take process. There's going to be moments where, in the event that, okay, you're able to find someone where you can actually have that conversation, but in having that conversation, the wounded person is still unable to shift because they want to hold on to what their ideology, which is possibly connected to some sort of sickness within themselves, as far as not being able to shift. That's a dis-ease of the body where you are unable to come out of that rut, and you're willing to sit in that toxicity, making the choices or having the thoughts that this ain't gonna get better, then it won't. As one thinketh, so is thee. Just saying. You're gonna have to make the choice. Alpha Draconian's corrupt energy. Doing oneself in a way that is not having to do with the best version of you is highly unethical. Highly unethical. Okay? Highly unethical. And this has something to do with you feeling safe. Not feeling safe. That's root chakra energy, Saturn. Age 0 to 7. Because obviously everyone here is beyond the age of 18, 21. If you have been experiencing life not feeling safe and secure, welcome, love. Not feeling safe and secure, that's the part of your life you want to reflect on. What happened 0 to 7? Whatever happened, don't blame the person that was involved. No, it's not for that. Because as long as, I get it, shit be happening to people that it be fucked up, yes. But the longer you sit with that fucked up energy, that bitterness within you, that's gonna take you out, not them. Some people literally sit in this level of addiction of feeling sorry for themselves just so others can see how much they've hurt them. And that's, whoever they're showing this off to have them feel some type of way, even subconsciously or in the most subtle ways, their response to that wounded person is more so coming from, they're not even in that state of mind where that wounded person is doing certain things for the person to see. That, oh, you hurt me, or this is why I do this, and this is why. Get the fuck up on out of that. Because it's gonna come a moment. Just because the person may appear in a physical vessel, in your experience or in your life, you don't know exactly who that energy is talking to you, presenting themselves in your life at a certain moment to deliver that message that is literally the key that unlocks the codes, that literally shifts you from, you know, the perception you've had of your prior experience into, you know, using that key to unlock the door to get into the next. Not being able to see that because they may hear a message that was told to them by several different people before and think that that person is similar to that person, even if they say, oh, this person is different, but still not taking the appropriate action, which is an answer to their prayers, affirmations, or convictions that they may have had. Basically giving a slap in the face to source, God, whatever name people want to put when it comes to a higher power. And your prayer or your message is being answered. But that all happens because, you know, welcome, Ocean Goddess, because of a lack of awareness within oneself, to be able to even recognize when to recognize, and also for some, they recognize but don't take the action, at least not with consistency. Because you don't go in the gym one day and expect, oh, tomorrow you're gonna have a six-pack. Nah, you gotta put in the consistency to it, you know. What's good, my loves? Talk to me, y'all. What y'all feeling? What y'all feeling? What y'all feeling? Blissful 888 portal to all. Yeah, this recalibration that's happening between the Sun and Leo and Sirius is really clearing out any dogmas that say that your desires are dangerous, your touch is unclean, your womb is a curse, and your pleasure is a sin. A sin is basically having the target but not being able to hit the bullseye. That's what a sin is. So a sin would be, they say it in different ways, or if you do this and you do that, but a sin is literally when you say you're going to be focused on something and you choose to do something completely different. That's a sin. Because you just missing, you know, you're not even shooting at the target that was intended. Aiming at the target that was intended. Wait for important information is turned up. Let's see if it pulls through. If it pulls through, if it comes out. 70-17 on the timer. The essence of the wheel comes out. Direction guardian. Choose your path. Trust and thrive. The stag. And hold space. The druid. One more. At the bottom, we have great teacher, learn from spiritual experiences, flower of life, purification, be open to healing information, medicine guardian. Yeah, literally what we just said, yeah. Not knowing what the presence of, even if it's just a billboard message, it don't even gotta be a person that shows up, and not taking heed to that due to the lack of openness to healing information and holding that space, trusting and thriving in that energy, but choosing the path that is not in alignment with, you know, the suggestion of being open to healing information. A lot of green here. Follow the voice of your souls at the bottom of the deck. The moon is over here. The tracking of emotion, lineage, karmic pulses. Third eye, the womb, and ancestral time loop. Third eye, womb, ancestral time loop. Reflective power. Blood encoded law. The question is, because as a crescent, the moon is a scythe when dishonored. But when honored, it moves as a chalice, allowing you to be receptive to celestial nectar, becoming a port of divine downloads. When people's emotions are out of whack, this is basically dishonoring the essence of reflective power or the subconscious interface. Choosing not to connect to the access one has, as far as the moon being a technology of memory and cycles and feminine law. We were just talking about this in regards to the feminine energy. But one has to be mindful as to the way they move around a lot of these feminines with certain ancient divine DNA codes, or codes that are literally designed to help one to, you know, go into their ascension without having to leave this realm. Experiencing heaven on earth, basically. Gratitude for the Cash App, honey, with the 88. Gratitude, my love. Shout out to you, EVE. Love you, girl. That was a generous currency exchange with the 88. Love that. Let's see. Look here. Emotional wound in the heart space. That emotional wound of the heart space, as it says here, is due to not following the voice of one's soul. The willpower that one has to make a decision to better themselves, you know? Regardless of the resistance, 939, that just went to 40, 39 to 40, 12, 4. Yeah, surrender old foundation. Surrendering aspects of the mother line, the maternal line. Because remember, we had this come through here. As far as what is the root of the low self-esteem that one may feel that prevents, you know, submitting to a higher version of themselves without second guessing. Becoming a portal of divine downloads. Emotional wound. Emotional wound. So there's a message that can come through as great news, but it triggers an emotional wound. A message that comes through dressed up as great news, or it brings forth a level of excitement, but it triggers an emotional wound. The emotional wound of entering relationships of love with the perspective that as you should go into relationships, but this is about someone who enters partnerships seeing the signs that this would be an attempt of one desiring to take the lid off of a person's potential when that is their own doing, but still entering that. This here emotional wound with the Page of Wands coming out is basically stating that, okay, this is a new cycle, but this new cycle is going to be triggering because of all of the trauma that one has experienced already from previous situations. And once again, with Saturn and Neptune, 7711, with Saturn and Neptune in Aries, it's also bringing up to the surface, you know, any type of emotion you may have swept under the rug and used relationships to cover it up so that way you didn't have to address why a certain cycle in love constantly repeats itself. Okay. Show me more about this. Yo. Speaking of potential new beginnings, 7755. The Ace of Pentacles. It's at the bottom here. Oh my gosh. So there is an incoming message of a golden opportunity. You may go through an experience first that triggers an emotional wound just to get the last bits out of whatever that wound is. This can simply be the memory of it, because the wound may not physically be there, but the memory still exists. And what's being removed through this message that comes in, that gives off a sense of joy, is by recognizing as soon as that vibe of fuck this person, but I pray that this person don't move the way the people of the past did and this, that, or whatever, it puts one in check about themselves. That's the design of it. However, the way one goes about the whole experience of that within themselves is a different story. Now, the way this is showing itself to me here is someone who sees it clearly, where they're on some, okay, when one is in this situation, 944, there's a lot of fragmented situations that feels as though there's a lot of water slipping through the cracks. But when one is away from this situation, that one feels more grounded and more focused. Now, this is helping that person to now connect to a new beginning that is in alignment to having a solid foundation and emotions not slipping through the cracks of water, slipping through the cracks where one is not fully received the way that they intended to be received when they enter a situation, a new situation. But this is certainly on the way here. Let me see what's going on. Oh, shit. Temperance. Clearly, this is Archangel Michael energy as well here, but this is an alchemical process. Something outside of you plays out an alchemical process within you. Welcome, Sunborn. Something outside of you illustrates an alchemical response within you. There's an opportunity to change something from lead to gold. Remember we said golden opportunity. Lead is the element of Saturn. So when you evolve from whatever this experience, that the root of it may be between 0 and 7, whether if it's the way one has spoken to you as you were growing up or a situation that physically happened. Do y'all hear that? That sound? No, not ringing. I wonder if it came through on the screen. Anyway. What's I'm being drawn to is 1 foot in and 1 foot out in this Temperance card. Being 1 foot in and 1 foot out when it comes to a clear inner knowing you have. What you clearly see. No, I'm not talking about that. The star. Healing. Being 1 foot in and 1 foot out when it comes to clearly knowing where the healing comes from. What's the source of the healing? And it has to do with this message that comes through, but it also triggers an emotional wound. So there could be clearance and an opening to this new beginning in your physical reality. Basically, the reward for having faith, being faith. 5 of Wands. That's what causes the trigger, Saturn and Leo, where there could be some sort of communication that comes through as competitive communication due to a burden that one is holding on to. Yet, competitive communication. So what do I mean by that? Where we were saying before, competitive may not even be the word, but what we were stating before, where one may have a tendency to talk more than they're actually listening. And they're in this portal or have access to this gateway that is literally showing up for clearance. I'm hearing for clearance, somebody's name is Clarence, for clearance and healing. Turning that which at one point was nothing into something, which can also come with material and financial prosperity because it reflects the spiritual prosperity within, which triggers this message to come in. Why did all that just happen as if 950? There's a new story to be told. 950, that's 14. There's a new story being told. 951. Let me see what 950 is. From all the training you've experienced. 5 of Wands. Show me. These cards fell over and it's showing this. Sudden wealth. Yeah, so there's some type of massive financial prosperity as a reflection of what you've learned. 33. Due to what you have, what you remember, due to surrender. Due to surrender, you remember a part of yourself, your spiritual self, that you're mending together. You've put into work to mend this situation. You put into work to mend self. Head on the house, head of the household, head on the Lord energy, your Lord energy. Head of household. It takes, you can't make this shit up. This ad says it takes time to, it takes pressure to make a diamond. You've gone through the pressure for sure. $950. Emptiness. 950 is emptiness. Desolation, decimation, devastation, heart melts, knees tremble, loins shake, every face grows pale. Okay. That's the work you've been putting in. Clearing yourself from that. Clearing yourself from that. Energies that place you into that type of experience. Where you have no liberty, you don't feel the vitality flowing through your body. Continue to download is also on the screen. Continue to download. Okay. Star ancestors, hidden secrets, lost wisdom. Look a little deeper. Water your garden. The best person you can connect with before you can trust anything outside of you is the communication and connection with self. 8833 all the time. Water your garden. Rest. When you get tired of a situation that's no longer serving you, when you're tired, you get some rest. For some of you, your sleep patterns reflect what you're experiencing in your external world. You're tired of something, but you keep doing it because, not because you keep doing it and you don't want to put it to rest. So now you're up, sleepless nights, Nine of Swords energy. Look a little deeper, let me see. The Empress. The High Priestess. Wait a minute. Three of Pentacles. This is some wild shit together. Wait. You could be receiving your just due when it comes to situations where people may have attempted to destiny swap or basically confuse the direction, the choices you make as far as the direction you're going. Yeah. Now you're fully being recalibrated so you can choose your path. Okay, so this could be something you're now deciding to do after being told, oh, you can't do this or you shouldn't do that. Let me see something. Because you now have access with this Empress and the High Priestess as the fifth pillar, High Priestess energy. You now have access to all the four elements, which means you have dominion over your emotions, your passion, the way you remain grounded, the way you process your thoughts in connection to the as above, so below, the cosmos and the underworld type of energies. Metaphysically, however you want to look into it. Going through all of those experiences just to see the polar reflection of the greatness of what you are, of whatever situation you may have felt as though was unfair to you. Did I put? I think it says no. Hold on one second. It's okay. I don't see it this time. Let's see. It's okay if you don't see it this time. It's okay if you don't see it this time. Someone could have some sort of addiction to looking for something to go wrong. It's okay if you don't see it this time. Be okay with seeing that something is not what it used to be, but what you used to experiencing from the past. This will help you to free up the energy to receive greatness into your life, especially with this Ace of Pentacles, Temperance, the Star, Empress, the High Priestess. This is some high vibrational spiritual connection, opportunity that you're receiving. Certainly a message that brings great news that's going to trigger an emotional wound. Now that you know that emotional wound that it triggers, let it come to the surface, clear it up, and enjoy your life, because where you're going next is not connected to the past. What's under this emotional wound is clear out the foundation of all beliefs and re-energize your soul in accordance to a heart as light as a feather. You may have been seeing the numbers 333, 444, 222, 111, and 222 came out here prior to having this out here. The Warrior of Light, Joan of Arc energy, Archangel Michael, the month of May, could be significant. May. Something is near. Something is near. It's time to make sure you make the adjustments. Make sure you make the adjustments. You have switch decks. You have manifested generator. You also have your emotional connection. It says, look at this. Grab it. Not the Orishas. We'll get to it. Receiving your just due. Think this shit is a game, man. Got the Justice, Karma card, and Message from Water. Message from Water. That's the Chariot energy as well. If you find yourself making decisions that still make you feel stagnant, obviously it's not in alignment to your purpose and your spirit. If things are being pulled away from you, obviously it's not in alignment to your purpose or your spirit. House. Speak to your house. Speak to your home. Because again, everything has water. 9630 on the time. Everything around you has water in it. Speak to your reality. Speak to your existence. But there's something here about a closed gate. Judgment being called on the closed gate. Something's being closed out and someone is still holding on to it. And this is the result. Someone is still holding on to something that is closed because of a impoverished mindset. Concern. 33. Which is not choosing to learn from the lesson. Not choosing to make the decisions that reflect learning from one's spiritual experiences. You have Baba Lorisha, which is a magician with the 8 of Swords. And if one doesn't do that, walk away from those things that no longer serves them, the Kraken is going to be released. And part of that Kraken is one experiencing turmoil in their mind. Or for simple state of saying something, going crazy. Or crashing out. Because they're holding on to things that are not of the dimension that they're going into next. It's that simple. 38, toil and labor, putting in work to balance something out. 11, that is, it can't be balanced with that energy around. 28, they go that expectation. There go that expectation of a false person. Feeling as though, oh, you see the potential, you see this and you see that, but not seeing what the actual spiritual, soulful, galactic message is in regards to why the situation is not there anymore or being pulled away. We're not in the age of Pisces. You're supposed to know now. We're in the age of knowing, clear inner knowing. Which is also connected to Daniel, which has to do with judgment. If one chooses not to walk to the house of the water bearer, one will suffer the essence of judgment towards themselves, the torture that they will put themselves through, which is a heightened sense of guilt, shame, and fear. Even in the most subtle ways, but it'll attack one's system and one's body even stronger. Because we're not in the age of Pisces, we're in the age of the electrical impulses of one's nerves. It's something, y'all hear it all the time. Well, this person is getting on my nerves. Be careful with those words. If something's getting on your nerves, and just better be mindful of that and do something about it. Because the energies within the universe that bring forth or magnetize situations towards you doesn't have the sense of humor or the sense of sadness that you as a human has. It just understands the energy that you're most focused on. Even if one wants to make a joke about something that they seriously require a solution to, all the energy sees is that, look at this, one not choosing to learn the lesson. The mature woman, 6, sideways. One choosing not to understand what the lesson is. Constantly ignoring one's intuition, because your intuition speaks precisely and subtly to you. Not holding the self accountable for the official person that has to make the decision is oneself. in regards to a habit one continuously wants to perpetuate, perpetrator. Something here about a false journey. The journey that has ended. Again, 10, yeah. Lovers, 6, again. Not choosing to remember the reason for situations, you know. The thumping sound, right? Okay, thank you. Gratitude, goddess. Gratitude, love. That's right. I heard you. Tell you. About to be doing some clearing up on the channel. The energies don't match. Don't take it personally. It just don't match here for some of y'all. I heard you. Okay, so we got this main male here, the masculine. Okay, 151. This is more. Oh gosh. Somebody could be experiencing some type of legalities that also helps them to be in a position to now thrive. It went off on, yeah. I'm glad it came through on here. Okay. Because I at least have it now. Well, been have. Okay. 39, surrender the situation. This is coming more so through surrender the situation to the spiritual court. Because it'll be handled precisely. Something that was handled, spiritual court, cosmic, galactic, is coming through your dreams, which is going to actually free you up emotionally. This could even be some sort of spiritual surgery of the inner child and those that came before you. Yeah, this is certainly court from the ethereal, cosmic, galactic, spiritual realms. If it's not if it's not producing eternal life, it won't move forward as effortless as it's designed to, as one is designed to. Any blockages anything that's thrown into the flow of the river as a blockage is under review. And the result of that review is a message of great news, because you have message showing up here a couple times. Yeah, there could even be some information that some of you are receiving about a will. Something is coming to the light about a will that may have been hidden from you. Yeah. Also, this could be someone in the process of transcending that actually says it. They can't take it to, they may have had a level of a connection with source where they were reminded that the energies within them won't be able to transcend if they attempt to take whatever this information is to the grave. 27, 9, because it completes itself now. It's to be completed now. Obviously, that's a little specific, so it may not be for everyone. Not that it may not be, I know it. unexpected income. Another 27. So you as a feminine goddess, high priestess, empress energy, you will be receiving a message that is having to do with unexpected income, money coming your way. Being freed from your struggles or any sense of what a struggle may be for you at this time. These two cards came out reverse. Wow, yeah. A lot's going on behind the scenes before it's delivered to you. Look at this, Hell. Because you have gone through the essence of hell. You have when it comes to those of you that have been reflecting on the first 3 chakras and its blockages, fear, shame, and guilt, expect your just due, expect your reward. That has to do with you living a life of freedom, receiving your just due. For those that created that blockage, for some, unfortunately, that's themselves creating that blockage. Whatever your divine inheritance is going to be closed from you. Gates will be closed. And this is why there could be an ancestor, a masculine, that is concerned about this, because one is not choosing to evolve. One is not choosing to ascend. One is not choosing to learn from the lesson. To remember themselves from the lesson, because one remembers themselves through the lesson. Someone keeps constantly going over it instead of going through it to complete it, to clear it out thoroughly. Those who get blocked out of their divine inheritance are those that constantly blame other people as to why things aren't coming through, instead of holding themselves accountable for their thoughts, the words that they express, and how powerful those words are in creating that reality. Let me see. I want to see the reason for the back. Yeah, that which was intended to hold space as the portal of healing information should not be disrespected. Show me why this is in reverse. Yeah. Not taking action about a relationship. Show me this. Why is this in reverse? The misuse of faith. Hoping something is going to work out. That hope and forcing something to work or wanting to hold on to something is the reason why someone's experiencing blockages financially. Because that's a relationship of a karmic loop. Blocking the inner knowing that this is not the way to go. Mind you, this message here, look at the dog, love. The choices of love. that one is making is causing a blockage or mending of a wound that is also in connection to the mending of this wound immediately brings in one's inheritance or one's prosperity and abundance. But if one chooses to be stuck in this hell frequency, because this is the way it was, is choosing to be in the lower chakras, 11101 on the timer. So that's what hell is. It's your lower chakras, the same colors. Choosing to be in a state of torturing oneself by holding on to those emotions, or holding on to those emotions, fear, shame, and guilt, which now causes this fixer-upper, repairman type of energy as to why one wants to stay in something that is an unhealthy relationship, because the root of it is the fear of change. The root of it is fear. Fear blocks the root chakra. When the root chakra is blocked, your stability is blocked. Your finances, you feeling secure, you being able to trust, blockages. Feel me? Because one could be addicted without even knowing to this level of low self-esteem because they're in a comfort zone. And this comfort zone is a result of being attached to results, having false foresight. False foresight, in the sense of the foresight is more so in connection to that which resides below the heart, without a connection to it as well. So it doesn't fully have life to it. It's not in the mode of being receptive. It's not in the mode to even be shared with someone else. And that could also be, what we were saying before in regards to being mindful, what it is you're connecting to and the way life around you flows. Is it an experience that adds to flow, or it blocks the way you move? You find yourself, you know what I'm saying, having to work extra hard to do stuff when it don't even have to be that way. All of this is crown chakra vibes. Crown chakra, mind's eye, first eye, dreams. So, someone has literally put their dreams aside by hoping that something that is in the physical world will help them. It's supposed to be with them. 433-88-9. 433-88-9. Initials T and D could be of significance. D as in David. F, T, and D. Ten, 11. 10 years. 11 years. October, November. 84, 83. This may have started, someone may have been visited by a grandmother here, or a grandfather born in the year of 39. It's just given that as far as a confirmation. Yeah, this is certainly ignoring the signs. Ignoring the signs. If someone is ignoring, what's the sign here? Communication. The lies. Even the smallest ones. Especially when it comes to a person that has a very high ranking, in a sense, mission, you really can't be around anything or anyone. $34. Or this could be something you're doing for work that you have to be honest with yourself with. This is why your abundance is moving as slow as it is, when you're destined to just be, you know what I'm saying, living the life of freedom, basically. Yes, that's the word, living the life of freedom. Intuition, not trusting your intuition. You have to be honest with yourself. Truth, transparency, sincerity. 33. There's a lot of 33s popping up. You don't have to be a life path 33, but that is very significant in terms of you came here to basically be a point of inspiration or assistance to others who are experiencing this, which is why you're being called on a loudspeaker, my love. Get to work, get to it. Stop resisting. This is a drastic change for somebody. It's a drastic change because everything that's being shown to you is telling you otherwise. As far as if you make this decision or basically take this leap of faith, 2222 or 1022, this old version of you is more so connected to what's the word? Your focus on stability has been stagnating you, which makes this idea of taking the leap of faith the biggest challenge you have ever had to experience in life, when it's not that hard. Because when you make that decision that is in alignment to your purpose, you receive all of this, the great news, the resources to be able to alchemize any situation that you're in, and you're going to be extremely prosperous, feeling the essence of being healed, which is huge in terms of, you know, this new life that you experience, because you don't want to go into something feeling burdened. On top of that, you forever fruitful and abundant with the high level of intuition and spiritual support, because this is also Archangel Michael here. So anything that attempts to get in the way it used to before will be severed, even at the slightest atom that it's near. Get my message of water. You're going to experience a massive shift because of this full moon in Aquarius of I know. Now, this clear knowing has to do with your willpower, 17 degrees, which also connects to your wealth, spiritually and physically. It's as if there's an entire recalibration of your emotion that aligns with your inner knowing, so that way you can connect to the depths of your imagination, that in that connection, it instantly brings forth manifestations of joy, abundance, infinite, cosmic, galactic, beyond the vastness of the creator type of abundance. It's never ending. Generations after generations after generations are going to be well taken care of. Because this level of wealth doesn't have to just be, you know, money. It could be an idea that brings forth that money, which is where the money continues to grow. The essence of Venus, the currency exchange of Venus continues to grow because of the solidity of that sacred value, Venus once again. By choosing to go to the depths of Scorpio, to dig up and out any seed that is connected to you not being able to evolve, by going to the depths of your psyche, the most sensitive spots of your psyche. That when you're not connected to that, you're not seeing that part of you or handling that part of you. This is where you instantly give your power away, specifically in situations of love, deep, intense emotions. Okay. So that way when the moon goes into Aries, you'll be able to connect to the emotional depths of who you are. That's a different reality. When you can fully connect to the emotional depths of who you are after this full moon in Aquarius at 17 degrees, which is a connection to, you know, your gut instincts, trusting what you know through your gut instincts, which is also a response of love. That's why you get that nervous feeling. We call it nervousness. Nerve is nerves us, nerve us, nerve us. So because it's also connected to Virgo and the impulses of the nerves, Uranus, which is in the sign of Gemini, both having to do with Mercury, your thinking patterns are changing in relation to the way you feel, connecting you deeper emotionally to what you know, starting with the wounds that come up to the surface so you can clearly see it and clearly and thoroughly clear it out. 1028. That's a day of someone who carries high wealth energy, whether it's through money itself or the resources that can build that level of wealth, generational wealth that has power wherever they go. Because Temperance, the Star, the Empress, the High Priestess, Ace of Pentacles, and it's as if you are at the appropriate time and in the most divine timing, and your life changes overnight. That combination right there. But you are going to have to first be honest with yourself. Because look at it. It says sudden wealth. You have to first be honest with yourself, especially if you're in situations where you are putting the work in to mend it. And you know within your heart of hearts, your soul of souls, your spirit of spirit, that especially if you keep going back and forth with it. Again, we're in the age of what? Knowing. The back and forth is a what? Lack of it. Which is doubt. It's in connection to doubt. And that doubt grows as the seed of shame. Sacral. Due to fear. The root. For someone, yes, clear out the situations that was invoked within you about your desires, your touch. Go reflect on what desire is, and that is not dangerous, it's not demonic, it's not the work of the devil. Because in playing with the energy of words and knowing things metaphysically, the word devil backwards, look at the life you've lived based on the ideologies and the perceptions that were embedded within you. It's up to you to unlearn so you can remember. Clearing it all out so you can clearly see yourself. We the Hathors. Deep love, mother's milk, birth as a portal. Yeah, it's certainly something that started from the womb space. It's certainly something that began from the womb space or being breastfed. It's that simple. So, in that case, this is an example of someone who would have to remother themselves. And as you're doing this, the key in doing that is to avoid yourself from pointing the finger, because it's going to be the easiest thing to do. Why did this happen to me? Why did they do this? Why not you? Why not you? Because in choosing to be within the Euphrates River per se, which is the blood, when you look at it from the metaphysical standpoint, within the father that holds the seed that is embedded within the mother's womb space due to a certain timeline where that had to happen for creation to happen. Because I'm also getting the energy of someone who comes from and aware of, you coming from the era where the masculine wasn't needed for the woman to conceive. But being part of that specific timeline where that cycle was disrupted due to a misuse of pleasure. So why not you in this sense? Because you chose to flow through that river, to connect to this womb space, to be in this reality with all those programs, because you wanted to literally have those programs, to know you have them so you can put a name to it. When you put a name to it, you can now do something about it. Adam, given the power to be able to name things. $22.33. The void. Stop, embrace winter, great cosmic womb. Yeah, there's that. That boy's milk. Man. So ancient Kemet is very significant here for some of you. You have a strong connection to Hathor. You may have been seeing bulls in your dreams. Which is letting you know to use your voice. Taurus, throat chakra. Use your voice. Be honest with yourself. Inner earth. You'll survive this. New solutions and beginnings. Let's wrap this up. Childhood. The needed materials are within your childhood. 66. 66 or 99. Someone here could be born to a parent or something about the year 66 and born in 99, or someone you're connected to born the year 66 and something occurred the year 99 or when you were 9. Which is where your essence of life may have been taken from you, the root of a situation. But this is where you're being asked to reattain your life force by not pointing the finger. Autumn. Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, full moon. That's tomorrow. So this could be a completion of a cycle, obviously, with the full moon. 6 months in. From the new moon in Aquarius. A 9, rainbow, completion, wish granted, serendipity, patience pays off, abundance, godsend, okay? Perfect timing. You receive all the greatness and messages and anything you want to receive. Whatever you want to receive, you're receiving in greatness if you walk into the house of the water bearer. But choosing not to is choosing the sorrow of the polar reflection of Virgo, Pisces. Yeah, 99 is very significant. 18, the moon. This full moon, the way it was expressed. You're going to have a clear inner knowing of an emotional wound that comes to the surface that has started to show itself to you from the new moon in Aquarius, which is Aquarius season. Now you're completing that cycle entirely, which is going to help you to be mindful of your words, so that way, especially Aquariuses, yeah, let's go. Speaking life into your life, not resistance. Resistance that keeps you stagnant. Some of you already noticed that because it opens the doors of your prosperity. You know? The alleviation of suffering. Just because someone is unable to be open and receptive to the care and love you want to express to them and give to them, don't stop being that person, because one person doesn't know how to receive. 133.55. Because some people are literally receiving the answer to their prayers, but because their mentality is somewhere else, they gonna miss the gateway, they gonna miss the portal. They gonna miss access to this door that only opens during certain vibrational frequencies. The key to helping them to find their way, 134.34. 177. The direction to a new perspective, and not being able to receive because it's something that is unknown. It's scary, but yo, what's scarier than that is staying the same. You stay the same despite of how, you stay the same. Staying the same, what I was just saying, not to your comment. Staying the same in terms of not evolving, you know, or choosing to change because someone doesn't want to be open and receptive. Yeah, facts. You stay the same despite of how others choose to stay stuck. Facts. Look at this. Somebody come look at this. More swords and scales, huh? Some think they know what time it is, while others know what time it is. It's a season of balance. to go beyond duality, to go into the space of non-duality. That's becoming the fifth pillar, which is the clear representation. Look at this showing up here, these sevens. That's just sitting on the table. It's just sitting on the table for certain. Yo, there's a lot just sitting on the table. All the cards are out. A major reset. You choose. Choose wisely. Choose wisely. Because that is the difference between experiencing joy and those that come after you, or those that come after you beyond, I'm gonna be extreme, beyond 1,000,000 generations going through poverty because of the one decision you make right now. That's how serious this is. And I'm not even exaggerating. It's not exaggeration. As ripe as these realms and environments are, planets are, it's not an exaggeration. It ain't. The decision one makes right now, if we take it down a notch, the decision one makes right now changes what happens the next 180 years for their bloodline. Netflix series the other day for another self. And that was a big theme. I have to check that out. What is it? Another self. The 4 is actually a family card. Now, reaching the mountain peak, reaching the peak of the situation. The inner child, a childhood situation, reaching the peak. Reaching the peak. When you clear yourself from 0 to whatever occurred between 0 to, I'll say 0 to 18, because that'll be through here. Even here, because, you know, one has access to their heart chakra. You may go into it, out of it, into it, out of it. Now one is choosing to handle what blocks that. You now fully rise into the essence of heaven to bring it down into the body, earth. Literally bring it into the heart, where now you increase your longevity. Because earth, heart, same thing, same vibe. Just the H in a different place. But the ear is there. But what's by the ears is your temples. And what's within the temples? Heaven. Your heaven. In connection to source 1044, 2244. You have here on this family card, and this is something for each of you to process as we wrap this up. Loyalty, faithful, allegiance, parents, children, siblings, fidelity, commitment, trust, affection, support systems, origins, tribe, dependable, sincere, and kindred spirits. Go down the rabbit hole. It's time. Bring whatever darkness you experience up and out through the body to reconnect to your heart home. Look at this. Didn't even peep that. It's time to burn the old stories, or where you were being censored to not express yourself because of possible past life situation where you were persecuted for doing so. Or those that came before you were. 76, 13, Sagittarius, Cancer energy. You, what's coming to the surface is you being able to see your feelings. You being able to see your feelings. Everything around you is going to respond to that. It's on someone. The student is ready. The teacher appears. The teacher doesn't have to be a physical person. It could be a billboard. Constant synchronicity to numbers. Open up the mind. Be more expansive in the way your information and answers come through for you. And watch. You'll see. And with that, my loves, I am going to conclude your message. May you all have a blissful one. Okay? I love you unconditionally. Gratitude, EVE, once again, for your currency exchange. Yeah. The conversation is to be had with yourself. Have the conversation with yourself. So you can fully see if the conversation must be had outward. You have a great night as well, Ocean Goddess. Yeah. All right, my loves. Have a blissful one. 142:42.